I got as far as adding stone, log, and roof textures. Then, my computer shut down unexpectedly. I had forgotten to save and lost all my progress. But you know what? Kind of glad it happened. Hi, and welcome back to Like Leading Cats. If you're new here, I'm Kat. I'm an engineering leader looking for my next role. In the meantime, I've been developing a cozy game about running and expanding a dessert shop. Players will complete quests and solve puzzles to unlock new ingredients, recipes, worlds, and characters. This is something I've wanted to do for most of my life, and I finally have the time and skills to do it. Today, I'll be walking you through my illustration process and how I use AI to help with image generation, and it might not be how you think I do. Also, if you're wondering what software I use for my illustrations, it's Krita. It's free and available to download online. So let's take a look. So I took a ChatGPT generated image of a small desert shop and figured I could adjust this aspect ratio to fit my map. My inspiration for this map design is Monkey Island. As you can see here, it's a 2D game, but it has some features that add a sense of depth to make it feel three-dimensional. The character appears smaller as it goes deeper up the Z-axis and bigger as it comes closer. If you look at the orientation of the buildings here, you'll see that the vanishing point is somewhere through that archway, but our perspective doesn't change as the character moves through the map. In this scene, you have a more top-down view with two vanishing points, but the character sprites are the same. So I took these principles and set that black circle as my vanishing point and created a building using that guide. I got as far as adding stone, log, and roof textures. Then, my computer shut down unexpectedly. I had forgotten to save and lost all my progress. But you know what? Kind of glad it happened. I had started feeling like the AI image wasn't thinking big enough for a building that was going to be such an important part of my game. I took the chance to make the shop wider, give it a cute entry overhang, and change the orientation of the roof. This will allow players to add dormers as we expand the shop. Through this process, I learned that roofs are kind of a big hurdle for me. I was struggling with my angles and textures, so I took a screenshot of what I had and asked ChatGPT to enhance them for me. I asked it to take the image of my dessert shop, make any corrections to the pitch of the awning, and refine the roof textures. I don't know why I called my archway an awning, but here it is. It spawned an awning on my image. Not exactly what I was looking for, but I think I have some good stuff to work with in this image. So I'm going to bring it back to Krita for tracing. So let's sample these colors and trace the outline of my archway. I'm going to fill the outlines with a solid color I also sampled from the AI image. Then I'm going to select the shape I just created and use my brush to create a highlight just within the outer bounds of that shape. I'm also adding some wood texture lines. Here I'm filling the outline for the plank detail and giving it a little bit of a glow color in the center. I also added a shadow using a dark brown in low opacity. Now I'm going to be adding more wood texture lines, then using my eraser to make those lines a little more jagged and appear a bit more organic. And I continue to draw these lines until I think my texture looks good enough. Then I move on to the rest of my roof. I'm going to outline that as well using the same outline color I used in my archway. Then I go ahead and fill those shapes with a sampled color. Add a little bit of shadow. I'm correcting the color of the lines to match the rest of my outlines. Then I'm going to cut out the part of the roof that is behind the archway. Then I'm adding a thick airbrush line of that glowy color to add a sense of depth. Then I add the top of the roof and play around with the shadow it casts until I get to good enough. And I clean that up a bit. And I'm gonna reduce the opacity of my roof glow. Now I'm adding the texture lines to my wood planks. As you're watching this, you're probably catching on to my approach. I'm trying not to get too hung up on the small details or obsess over perfection. I'm developing this game on my own as I actively log the process, search for a job, care for my kids, stay active. This game is a huge undertaking and I want to get the demo out there. So I'm being very conscious of time. So I took a little break and without recording, I started tracing the AI generated window for my shop. We pick things back up as I continue to create it. It's important to make sure your shapes are closed so that when you go to fill that shape, that color stays contained to the shape. Here I'm adding a little bit of the shadow that the edge of the window is casting. This is the outer shadow. So as the logs curve, so does my shadow. And I just remembered that the logs I created don't exactly line up to the logs that were AI generated. So I turned that off and continue with my shading. Now I'm chasing the leaves for my flower box. I sampled the fill color and filled my leaves, and now I'm adding some subtle texture to them. And next, I'm tracing my flowers. Not sure why I picked that dark peachy color. For the fill color, I noticed that the AI was a little wishy-washy about what color it wanted these flowers to be. Some of them are peach, some of them are yellow, and some are both. So I figured I'd lean into that idea and fill them with a yellow to peach gradient. I'm going to clean up those lines a little bit. Now I'm making the second window by copying the first one and flipping it horizontally to create a sense of following an aspect ratio. It doesn't quite line up to my vanishing point, but I'm letting a more cartoony, quirky style shine through. Next, I'm going to be taking this concrete slab for my portico and making it a bit more realistic. I'm adding a line of highlight to the outermost edge and rounding out the corners. And I'll be taking my texture brush and splattering it with highlight and low light colors. I'm experimenting with a shadow that my door will be casting, but I'm going to plan on coming back to that one. It's a little tricky. I took another break from recording my screen and added logs to the side of my building and added some texture to my windows. The last element I wanted to add to my shop for this iteration is a sign that lets people know this is a dessert shop. I asked ChatGPT to create an image of a wooden sign with a cupcake with a bite taken out of it carved out. It gave me the sign that looks painted. So I'm going to take this image and make it into something that looks like a carving. I'm also not sold on the shape of this sign, but we're going to start here and see where it takes us. Let's go ahead and trace the frosting. That looks hilarious. but we're gonna trust the process. Let's clean up the edges and improve the shape a bit. I'm duplicating the shape, giving it a highlight color and moving it down and over for a bevel effect. Let's do the base of the cupcake next. When things start looking wonky, I like to zoom out, step back, and take a look from a different point of view. And if that isn't a lesson to apply to life, I don't know what is. Hit that like button if you agree. I decided to lighten the frosting color for a more shallow look and use the dark outline to create a shadow to enhance that bevel look further. And I was struggling a little bit with the texture of the base here. I decided to leave it alone, but I might be coming back to it later. Next, I'm going to be carving out the folds of the frosting in a shadow color. I love that Krita lets you alternate between brush and eraser just by toggling the E key, and that helps make this process a lot faster. And as I'm watching this, I am thinking that I might want to darken those shadows a little further. So when I go back, I'm gonna do that, and here I'm adding some sprinkles. So let's compare the AI sign to mine. And I'm really liking how this is shaping up. Lastly, I'm gonna add a little shadow for depth here. Like I said before, there are a lot of things I could continue to refine here, and I probably will, but for now I'm going to enjoy and appreciate this creation as it is and move on to designing my shop interior so that my character can start performing actions. Well, I hope you've enjoyed this peek into my illustration process. Next, I have a lot of ideas on how to design the interior of my shop, and I'll probably be logging the creation of that space next. If you'd like to watch me as I progress through my development process, subscribe to this channel and follow along. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.